I think he might need a cough drop for him. Take another one. You might want to take a run.
Hello, test.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Alright, can you hear me, Mr. Contender?
Yep.
Alright, go ahead and have a seat. I don't know if you're sitting. Okay, so, for the record, this interview is being audio and video recorded. This is an interview being conducted on the 25th of July, 2020, being conducted at 2050 Central Standard Time. This interview is being conducted by myself, Detective 2, John Gambino of the Los Santos Police Department, interviewing today Ricky Contender. Let the record reflect Mr. Contender has requested an attorney. However, due to no DOJ being available and the violent nature of the crime, we will be proceeding with the case. Alright. Mr. Contender, today the Los Santos Police Department is seeking to place the following charges on you: reckless driving, and the attempted murder of a peace officer, which under the penal code is just attempted murder, I believe. So we're going to talk about it because, you know, while I already have the evidence of these crimes, now what
So
we
do
do
I,
is...
officer, and the other two officers have already reviewed the evidence, so carry on.
Okay, so the other two officers don't matter. First of all, I believe they're both cadets. I am the arresting officer, and I'm pretty much the only one that matters here. They're also not detectives and don't know how we operate. So let me tell you what I observed from my eyes. I observed you breaking multiple traffic laws and driving in a reckless manner. Due to such, I immediately radioed for a 10-8 marked unit to come and pull you over. I kept getting no response. We've been having a pretty slow night with the amount of officers on duty. But I decided to keep following you just the same. I observed you crash into a vehicle, but that may have been just my eyes or whatever.
I haven't crashed into any vehicle.
Right, so after reviewing my body cam, it appears that you did not crash into any vehicles. At the time, though, that's what I observed. And as well, you were recklessly driving because you were running down traffic signs. That's classed as reckless driving. So we were going to have you pulled over and arrested just based on that. From there, you pulled into an underpass underneath the overpass, and I observed you exit the vehicle and begin reaching for a firearm. From there, you tried to draw on me, to which I responded to your lethal threat with a lethal vehicle. You know, deadly weapon against deadly weapon.
Although,
So,
to be honest, you had no intention of my intentions of pulling that out. I'm fully licensed. I've never been in trouble before.
True.
All my convictions are clear.
But you just recklessly drove? Okay, so
you rammed
here's the
into
thing.
me 3 times. I told you to stop ramming into me. You hit me at least once more. You've then followed me.
I'm going to continue and just talk over you because we're still at the part where I'm giving my opening statement.
Okay, so when do I get to talk? Do I get to talk?
Basically what happened is I observed you pull out the firearm. And after you know, as you were mid-draw, I decided to strike you with my vehicle as I'm not going to exit my vehicle and then draw. I would have been shot down, you know, based on, you know, the actions that you were taking. And you fired, I fired. I ended up dropping you, but you did hit me quite a few times. I'm not feeling that great. I mean, I'm not that happy. The firearm I have not checked. I still have the firearm in my possession, but I'll be running that serial number. You do say you are a valid CCW holder. If that traces back to you, then that won't be a firearms charge. But now let's talk about the situation in general. I was undercover at the time, so I can understand why you feel threatened. But you are not a vigilante, Mr. Contender. Under no circumstance are you going to order anybody out of the vehicle when they have not posed a danger to your life. You're not to order somebody out of the vehicle with a gun.
You hit my vehicle 3 times. That's endangering my life. I've tried to evade you.
You're not a police officer.
It
You've
doesn't
applied
matter.
and been
I'm
denied.
allowed,
You're
under
not
the civilian laws, I'm allowed to defend myself, sir. And that is what I was doing because I thought you was trying to kill me.
What? Okay, no. Can you show me any sort of evidence that I was trying to actually kill you?
Yes, the other officers have already seen it. You repeatedly chased me down. While there's multiple gang cars in the area, it was getting hot. I tried to duck out the area to lose attention because I want nothing to do with gangs or that way of life. You've then pursued me. You've tried to slow me down and stop me, but you did not once say a word to me. What am I meant
It's
to
called
think?
being undercover.
What am I meant to think though, Mr Gambino?
It means.
So am I just meant? Am I meant to just stop for every car?
You now. So
Well,
basically,
no,
what
you've had
that
your
means
say,
is
so
don't be a vigilante and take the law into your own hands.
how am I
This is
being a
why we have police
vigilante by
department.
defending
If you
my
honestly
life?
feel like somebody is committing a crime against you, the proper way to handle that would be to head to the police department or call the police. Instead, you decided to be what we call a vigilante, take somebody underneath an overpass. Now, granted, I was following you.
This
but I was
all
following you
happened
with the
within
intention
3
of getting
minutes,
you
of
to
which
the,
my adrenaline was
stop so I
running.
could get a marked unit to you.
Mi-
You decided to
Mr.
take me to an
Gambino, I believe you're
overpass. From
biased in
there, you
this.
decided to pull a firearm, which is against your CCW permit guidelines. You cannot
I'm allowed to
order
pull
somebody
it.
out of the vehicle
I'm
when
allowed
life
to
is not
pull
being
it in
directly
order.
threatened. I had to run
My
you over
exact
because I don't
words.
feel like getting shot.
My exact
Now,
words were
in
to either
regards
get
to
out
the
of your
other gang
car or
vehicles
to
in the
drive
area,
off.
the
And you,
reason for me concentrating on you was for the simple fact that you were unmasked, and should you felony evade, you'd be the somebody I could file a warrant on. So when I have to choose out of 4 vehicles who to follow and have arrested for reckless
all
driving,
of which
for
are
not going over
registered to
traffic
their
signs and all
registered
that shit,
owners in the
I
first
decided
place.
to go for the person that is unmasked. Now, I can tell that you have something to say, so now go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Gambino. Okay, I
Yes,
was
sir.
fearing for my life. I'm trying to evade you because you're actively pursuing me. You're saying I was reckless driving. You was reckless driving in the pursuit of me as well. You've rammed my vehicle 3 times. You've tried to brake check me to slow me down. Okay, in which I did slow down, but then I drove around you. Now, if I was a criminal, I would have just ploughed straight through you. Correct? Secondly,
No, because then you'd be putting your life in danger by ramming another
not
heavier vehicle
not at
with
such
your smaller vehicle.
not at such a low
Come
speed,
on, man.
Mr. Gambino. Be smart.
So plow into me at a low speed. Do you understand how physics works, good sir? Because I don't think you do.
Okay,
if you think
Mr.
you're gonna plow
Gambino, you
into
said you
me
was going to
at
let me
20 miles an hour.
talk, and instead you're trying to be a
Considering you talked
smartass.
over my statement multiple times, I feel it's not really that big of an issue if I talk over you. But go ahead.
Okay, for the purpose of this interview, Mr. Gambino, is anything I'm going to say going to make you realise that I was acting on behalf of trying to save my life?
Okay. And at what point did you try to make an attempt to contact
answer
law
that question.
enforcement or go to the police department?
Please answer that question.
Sir, I did not threaten your life in any regard. So that's
That's
not
not answering my question. At any point
Okay,
through
what was
this
the question?
interview,
Go ahead.
at any point through this interview, are you going to realise that I was acting in what I thought was the best interest at the time, considering it all happened within 180 seconds, that I was trying to
I am not going to
protect my
consider
life?
that because that's not how legal people think.
Okay,
Legal
so
people who are not vigilantes, their first steps would be to call the police and go to the police department. You made no such
not
attempts to reach
always,
a law
not
enforcement
within
officer.
180 seconds, in which 5 minutes prior you can speak
You made
to
a bad judgment call.
you can
and
speak
that's
to Officer
a fact.
Ben. Okay,
Okay.
you can speak to
Officer
Officer
Ben is a
Ben.
cadet, first of all.
Less
He's
than
not a detective. So
Mr.
he
Gambino,
really
less
has
than
no
5
say
minutes.
in this case.
Less than 5 minutes before that, I'd already been chased by a group of boys, all in matte black cars, who I didn't know who they were. I'd already fled
Right.
at that point. Okay, and
Fled,
I'd spoke
okay.
to an officer. Fled, past tense.
Fled,
Anyhow,
okay. Anyway,
I mean,
semantics.
you're
Okay,
just
so
Mr. Gambino. Answer this question for me, please. Is anything I'm going to
well,
say?
I'm the one that asks questions. So
Is anything I'm going to say in my defence? Are you going to keep twisting my words, trying to be a smart ass and use them like correcting me?
I know you,
And-
Mr. Contender.
No.
When I first met you, did you?
No.
Now this is my
Okay.
turn.
So
Did
now
you
it's
or
gone
did you not
personal
say,
in an
because I'm a
interview
private-
room, Mr. Gambino. It's just gone personal. You've just stated that you know me.
No, this is
Thank
in
you.
regards to the vigilantism that you just displayed. My question for you is, when I first met you, did you or did you not say back in December that I'm a private investigator, so that means that I can pretty much do whatever I want? Because we had talked about you having shot people down, bringing them to PD and all that. Now, I don't have any evidence of this, so it's getting brought up for the simple...
So, again, you're using stuff against me
Your
that
past
I've never
experience,
said,
You
and
said
yet...
it in front of PD, to me. I think that was before I was an officer, actually. But,
Sure
in any
I did,
regards...
Mr Gambino. I'm sure I did. But as you've just said, you know me. Okay, you know that I used to be a private investigator for the police and that I once used to do stuff like that, which roughly
Actually,
ended...
you were not actually an official private investigator for the police department.
Is that why the police department paid me £40,000 at one point, Mr Gambino?
I see no documentation that you were on the payroll as a
Oh,
private
I've got
detective.
bank
Can
statements.
you provide me such? Okay, so once again,
Mr Gambino, I don't need to go into this with you because of your rank, but at the same time, okay, you've just made it personal in an interview. You're now using past history against me. You singled me out in this chase because I was unmasked.
You were unmasked.
Are my car windows tinted, sir?
I observed you through your windshield, sir. I was in front of you. Hello?
That is tinted, sir.
Your windshield is not tinted. I can see right through it.
Okay, well, according to my footage that the other officers have seen as well, they believe you've acted well out of order. I believe that I've been set up here, and I believe you've targeted me. Now in the interview room...
words of a cadet don't really matter that much to me. The thing is, they're not detectives.
But in the
never done
interview room,
work.
which it's being documented, you have just stated that you know me, and you're trying to use my past history to prove a point of vigilantism that doesn't exist because I was merely trying to defend my life.
You just tried vigilantism. There's proof of that. You tried to commit vigilantism.
Why? Because
the overpass.
I got my gun out under an overpass and told you to go away. Instead,
Sir,
you ran me over, Mr Gambino. Mr Gambino, you've already admitted in this interview room that before I even managed to point my gun, you'd floored it to run me over. You've already admitted that. So,
and I've already seen on the body
yes,
cam
but you haven't
say out. And you said the word out before I had even struck you. So once
no,
again,
Mr.
knowing what's about to
Gambino,
happen with
Mr. Gambino, that is not what happened.
Go ahead.
So, at the end of the day, nothing I'm gonna say is going to sort this. I've asked for an attorney. You're processing me without an attorney, although the cadets have told me that I'm allowed to wait 3 hours if I so wish to choose before processing.
That's for non-violent crimes.
Okay, but the violence come from me acting in my defense.
You
ran me over, Mr. Gambino.
Sir.
You ran me over before I even fired a bullet. Before I even opened my mouth, you would put your foot down to run me over. That is on my body cam.
Reaching for a deadly weapon.
It doesn't matter. You did not know my intentions.
So you're confessing to brandishing a firearm? Is that what you're?
I have a CCW and I pulled it out because I was fearing for my life. I could not chase you. I could not shake you down
in an alley after
because I could not shake you away. What else was I going to do? I thought you was a gang member.
Go to the police department, man.
I thought, yeah, and I tried.
You literally have this big building here.
I tried, and you literally just said that I had blocked myself in while trying to evade. What else was I meant to do, Mr. Gambino?
You led me to a secluded location.
I tried to break out.
If you felt for your life, you could have just done that on the side of the road.
I tried to shake you off to lose your tail, okay? And I ended up in a situation where I couldn't get out. What was I meant to do, Mr. Gambino, if I think someone's trying to kill me? I did not know you was an officer. I did not know whether you was a civilian.
Your history with vigilantism, I don't believe.
Exactly. So now you're using my history against me to try and prove your points that this is a bias case and a bias arrest. And thank you for clarifying that.
Because we have
thank you for clarifying that. In the interview
Vigilantism is not against the law, so it's not like I'm sitting here trying to charge you with it. The reason why I'm bringing up your history is to gather the intent of the crimes, because we already have evidence.
Yes, because you're trying to say my intent was to lead you astray to try and shoot you.
That's why I do these. Technically, I could have just told you or whatever, but I'm one of the few detectives that likes to sit down with all my.
Mr. Gambino, you're trying
to gather intent.
Yeah, you're trying to build a case to show my intent to lure you into an alleyway to kill you. That was not my intent. You know full well my intent was merely to try and...
You didn't try backing up or anything like that. You just
Well,
got
no,
out of the
you
car
was
and pulled the
right
firearm
behind
immediately.
me. You can see that on my footage, Mr Gambino, which the other officers have already seen.
I haven't seen your footage, to be honest.
Well, I mean, go and ask the other officers. They've got it.
They're not, they're cadets, first of all. You keep talking like these officers in any way have an opinion, any sort of judgment they can offer on this case. They do not.
Well,
I'm going to tell
Mr
you
Gambino,
simply,
whether
they do
it's a
not.
cadet
You can
or
show
a
how many
full-blown
cadets
police
you
officer,
want.
they are in police uniform, so therefore they represent the
True, but
police
they're not the
constabulary.
arresting officer.
No,
They are not the arresting
it's just
officer,
funny that the
therefore...
arresting officer is the one who's recognised me, decided to take chase, ran my vehicle multiple times and run me over before I shot a single round. And now you're trying to build a case to say it was my intent to shoot you, which it was not. I had no idea who you were, what you were doing, other than chasing me, ramming my vehicle and making me think you were going to try and kill me.
Can you tell me exactly where I rammed your vehicle?
Have a look through my footage, officer. You'll see it. You hit me 3 times.
I
spun. Okay, for one, I spun my car around. You ran into the side of me, and I said something like, "Don't ram my car again, bitch." You didn't reply. You didn't say anything. You just sat there. Okay.
Well, as an undercover, I don't really, you know.
Well, I mean, not being funny. Normally,
talk to
the only
people?
type of people that don't talk when they're chasing
I don't
you is
do
the ones that
accents,
are going to
that's
kill
why.
you. Well, that's
I
not
don't
my
do
problem.
Not
Mr. Gambino.
really. If somebody
then
was trying to kill
secondly,
you, they'd give you
Mr.
demands,
Gambino,
pull over, or get her to
secondly,
shoot, you know.
as you said, you know me. If you had identified yourself to me, okay, I would have stopped immediately because I'd have known.
That's not what we do as undercover. I'm supposed to be undercover, and then a marked unit was... I radioed multiple times. A marked unit was supposed to come and pull you over, and then I leave.
Yep,
and
and from what I've heard from the radio chit-chatter, you said there was a convoy. And then, after asking for backup for a convoy, you asked for everyone to detour onto me, and solely me, to leave the others alone. I think you need to cough.
What do you mean a radio? Like you overheard on the radio?
Well, no, this is what the cadets have told me.
Something about a convoy.
The cadets had told me that the first radio that they heard from yourself was that you were in pursuit of, or you was, what's the word, monitoring or something of a convoy. And then the next thing they asked was that you was asking for backup to pull me over, but you weren't bothered about the others. You were just...
True, because I'm only one guy. Do you expect me to pull over 4 vehicles at the same time, good sir?
No, Mr.
Do you expect me to
Gambino, but
just split myself
our
in 4
vehicle
with 4 different cars?
our vehicle registrations held to the person who owns the car.
Okay, I'm in an undercover vehicle and do not have a police computer in that undercover vehicle. You really think I have more equipment on me than I actually do?
No, but
I don't
what,
have a
what
radar,
made you
nor do I have...
What made you solely chase me? As you said, you
because
recognised...
you're the only one... No.
As you said, you recognised my face, you saw my face, so therefore you knew who
Mr.
I was, but you still
so I'm
solely
speak
went
over you
after
at
me.
this point, because you really think I'm concentrating personally on you. First of all, if anyone else had been unmasked and not you, I would have gone after them, because if they felony evade, it would have been an easy indictment warrant with DOJ, because DOJ requires for us to charge anybody they be unmasked, otherwise, quote unquote, how do we know it was really them? So you were one out of the 4 people that were unmasked. I said, then this is the one guy we'll go after for reckless driving. I called for the unit, so it wasn't personal because your last name is Contender, it was because you were unmasked and the others were masked, and I chose to go after the easiest catch out of the 4, so that's why. But anyway, you can think it's personal all you want. I'm just doing my job, man.
No, I don't think it's personal. You're the one who's bringing up my past history and saying you know me and trying to make out that I'm going all vigilanteism because I used to be a private inspector.
You did pull into an underpass and pull out a gun, so you know.
And as you've already said, Mr. Gambino, when I pulled in there, I blocked myself in. That was not my intention. But as you
Okay.
said, you saw
Well,
I
I
was
believe that,
blocked
to
in.
be
So
honest.
what,
I actually
what else?
believe that wasn't your intention.
What else
So,
was I meant to do? I'd go to pull my gun to scare you off. Instead, you run me over. So
considering what I've heard about you, you wouldn't have just scared me off and told me to leave.
so now you're
But
you're
that's
going
not
on
a
rumours
factual
that
statement,
aren't true.
therefore it means nothing in this case.
But no,
You're
you're
right.
bringing
It
it
means
up in the
nothing
interview room that
That's
you've
because
heard
there's nothing
things
against
about
me
me.
bringing it up in the interview room.
Well, no, because you're bringing up my past.
Before you think you
You've just
understand the policies
agreed.
of the LSPD, you need to be employed with the LSPD.
Mi-
Because you
Mr.
keep thinking that
Gambino.
I'm not allowed to do this in the interview room. I'm not allowed to do that. And you're just
No, what
you're wrong.
I'm not saying that you're not allowed to do it. What I'm saying is you're making it personal. You've brought up my past
But
history
I'm not.
with
You
the
committed
fact
a
that
crime. I'm here arresting you.
what crime? Reckless driving. I plead guilty.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Attempted murder on
What
a police
about the-
officer.
okay.
Not guilty.
Then now we're getting somewhere, Mr. Contender. Reckless driving. You're pleading guilty of that. That was the initial reason for the traffic stop anyway. Now as for shooting,
But it wasn't a traffic stop. You ran me over, and I only shot
I
at you
tried getting it to
after
be a traffic
I
stop.
shot at you after you ran me over. I am
After you
fearing.
pulled a gun on me in a
I
secluded
hadn't even
alleyway.
pointed the gun at you before you drove
After
straight
not trying
at
to
me.
contact law enforcement and instead
Okay, what am I
decided
meant to
take
do?
it into
Just
your-
sit there in my
go
car,
to the
pull a
police department.
And what do you
drive
think
to
I
the
was
police
trying to do,
department.
Mr. Gambino? But as you said, I
Not
blocked
go
myself
to the police
in.
department. The police department is not located underneath the overpass.
No,
I
but I'm
guarantee
trying
you the
to
police
shake
department is
you
not
off.
located underneath the underpass.
Mr.
No, it
Gambino,
was
I'm
a
trying to
straight shot
shake you off. And as you said, you fully believe that it was not my intention to get out and shoot you. You've already said that. Okay?
True.
You've already said that you believe it wasn't my intention to block myself in.
Are you
Okay.
sitting here telling me today that you fully intend on going to the police department and getting an officer to actually do their job instead of you pulling a gun? Is
Okay,
that
so
actually what you're sitting here telling me?
In
In
the
any
last
point, did
2
you
hours,
consider going to
Mr.
the police or
Gambino,
calling
the
the
last
police?
2 hours that I've been driving around, I've shrugged off one chase from gang members already, okay? For whatever reason, they decided to pursue me. I shot them off, and then I pulled up at a police station afterwards and reported it. Please go and speak to Mr. Ben Kilo and ask him for his partner's name that was working with him today at the time that I was
I'm not
arrested.
going to do that because
No, because
that
this
means
proves
nothing to
my
this
point.
case.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't.
Because
you
once
have,
I've
you have
shook
evidence
you
of
off,
crime.
once I've
I
shook you
have
off,
to
you're
proceed on the
undercover.
evidence.
Mr. Gambino, you're undercover.
Yes.
You know what happens if you blow your cover, yes? What do you think
varies from
happens?
time to time.
What do you think happens if
People
someone's
stop breaking the
chasing
law in
you?
front of me.
What do you think happens if someone's chasing you and you drive straight to a police station to grass them up? What happens then, Mr. Gambino?
You be safe and the person gets arrested?
For about 10 minutes until the rest of their gang find out, yes.
Oh, so you don't ever inform the police when somebody's committing a crime against you. So how would you inform the police when you pulled
Because
a gun
I
on
always
me
have
and brandished it at me?
I shot you after you ran me over, Mr. Gambino.
No. Let's say it went your way. Let's say I didn't hit you with my vehicle after you pulled the gun.
Okay.
Describe to me how the event would have gone down, because once you put a gun to my head, even if I'm in a vehicle, the situation is yours. So how would the situation have gone down if it were completely up to you?
I would
Because
have
from what I'm
told you to
hearing-
drive away, Mr. Gambino, because I've got no intentions of killing anyone in cold blood unless it's a direct threat to my life. In which you ran me over, that is a direct threat to my life. And I'm sorry, you
When
did
you
not
commit
tell me
one
you was a
crime
police
and then
officer.
pull a gun, I have to react.
So because
You had
of...
already broken a law.
Okay, what law was that?
Reckless driving.
Okay, so because of reckless driving, that is
I
a
don't know if you're in a
non-violent
gang or not.
offence,
Come on,
Mr.
Mr.
Gambino.
Contender. You just
No,
expect
but
people
Mr.
to
Gambino,
believe
Gambino,
that
you're
some perfect
you're
person.
making leaps here.
Get Gambino to let
You're
you
making
when you-
leaps here to try
you're
and
done.
define the type of person I am that I know I am not. I went to pull my gun because, as you said, I had inadvertently blocked myself in after you had
Right.
ran my vehicle 3 times. Okay, I've just been witnessed a load of gang people chasing people. You got involved right in the middle of that. I thought you was a gang member trying to kill me. You've ran my car 3 times. I've tried to evade you, got myself blocked in like an idiot, and then I've gone to pull my gun because that's the only other thing I've got in that situation to try and defend my
Well,
life.
I also heard you on body cam say out before I had struck you with the vehicle, so you weren't
Mr.
just trying to scare
Gambino,
me
your
out. You were trying
wheels-
to get me out of the
Mr.
car.
Gambino, on the body
I'm
cam,
confused.
that you said.
Hold on, no,
No,
hold on.
Mr. Gambino.
You just said in this interview room that you were trying to get me to leave the scene, but then on the body cam it says it shows you were trying to get me out of the car.
Mr.
So which one is
Gambino, which body cam have you seen? Because you said you haven't seen
Mine.
my evidence. Right, then on yours, you'll certainly hear your tyres screeching and your car moving forward before I even start speaking. What am I meant to say when I am panicking, Mr. Gambino, when someone is driving at me?
The words are very important when a heated situation like that. Ordering somebody out of a vehicle is a lot different than saying, get the fuck away from me. So you
right,
see
so
why
when someone has a split second, because I got out the car, your wheels already started screeching by the time I started reaching. Yeah?
No.
So, yes, that is on your body cam. It is on my footage as well, Mr. Gambino. You had already made the decision to run me over before I'd made any direct threat to your life. Okay?
Actually,
At that
I
point,
made the decision to put the vehicle in motion. That way, if I needed to run you over, which I evidently did, I would be in a prime position and momentum to do so.
No, Mr.
But
Gambino,
once again, I'm sitting
the
here
bottom
talking
line,
about physics with you.
Mr. Gambino, I would not have shot at you. I would not have shot you had you not ran me over.
Well, you also said you wouldn't have asked me to do anything other than leave the area, but that's already been proven to be a lie, as you tried to order me out of the vehicle.
Because
So
by
you've
the
already
time I'm
lied about
halfway over your bonnet, you hear me say out. What else? Like, Mr. Gambino, put two and two together for a second. You have just put your car straight at me. Well, before I even have chance to say anything, I panicked.
Consider the very first word you said is out.
Oh, right, so
No.
that was the very first word, was it? The very first word.
Once I know the first word, I know the rest of the sentence. On the cam, I hear you say
What?
the exact rest
Get
of the
out
sentence.
of the area, Mr. Gambino.
No,
Get
you
out
said
of
get
your
out of the
vehicle,
car, bitch.
Mr. Yeah, I might have
No,
said get out of the car,
get out of
bitch,
the
but
area
you've
and
just,
get out of the car
Mr.
are two
Gambino,
very different things.
you've made assumptions and made a direct threat on my life by running me over, and all I'm hearing in this interview room is you already knew what I was going to say. You already knew what I was going to do before I've said,
the evidence backs
Mr.
up what I'm
Gambino.
saying, then I'm
Yes,
pretty,
because
pretty
I shot
okay.
you after you ran me over, Mr. Gambino. In that time, okay, as you said previously, that you've known me from before, okay, you know that I've worked with the police before, you know I'm not a cop killer.
No, stop.
You could,
That's actually not valid, because there's no record of you
oh,
ever
that's
working
not
for this
valid
police
now,
department.
but
The
that
only
is,
thing we have a record
Mr.
of is you
Gambino, so
applying
that's
for the
not
police
valid now,
department
although
and
you
getting
brought it up 10 minutes
denied
ago.
due to your vigilantism in the past.
What
That's the only
vigilantism,
record this
Mr.
police
Gambino?
department
I got
has
paid
of you working for this department,
£40,000
you trying
by
to
the police
apply and
department.
failing at that.
My vigilantism got paid £40,000 by the police department.
I don't have any proof of that. That's also not documented anywhere. I am a detective, and I would have seen that under the IB section of my website.
So are you a chief?
There is no record of
Are you a
ever
chief,
working
Mr.
for this
Gambino?
department, good sir.
Please go and ask the ex-chief Dread Victor. Please go and ask the ex-chiefs, because I never
Unless
dealt
he put
with
it in
detectives.
writing
I don't know
somewhere,
what.
it didn't happen. That's not how that works. We don't just look for ex-chiefs and say, hey, did this rally really happen? If it's on the website, it happened. If it's not on the website, there's no record of it.
Okay, so £40,000 just magically disappeared out your treasury one day, did it?
I have no idea. I'm not going to go check bank records because we're not.
No, because you're trying to make me out to be a liar, and you're trying to say that my intentions was to shoot and kill you. They were not. I was fearing for my life. You've already admitted that you believe that I inadvertently blocked myself in. Okay? Yeah. So you know I was trying to get away, and I've inadvertently blocked myself in. But you didn't drive the
vehicle, instead you got out.
Well, there was no way out. You was directly behind me, Mr. Gambino.
Not true. I was to your left.
You was directly, yeah, to the left was the only way out, Mr. Gambino. You was directly behind me. What else was I meant to do?
You put that vehicle in a dead stop and decided to exit the vehicle with a firearm.
Because a dead stop, because there's a brick fucking wall in front of me, which you hit after you ran me over. And Mr. Gambino, I will not plead guilty to attempted murder on a police officer that has just ran me over before he even knows there was a direct threat to his life.
I saw a gun and I saw you already break a law.
I have a CCW, I'm allowed to hold it, and that law was a road traffic offence.
You're not allowed
How
to
have you
brandish
jumped?
people and tell them to get out of the car.
I
If
am
somebody's
when
not
my life
directly
is in
threatening your life,
danger,
you
Mr
can't shoot
Gambino.
them.
I
You
am
go to
when
the
they are
police.
threatening my life.
You go to the. You literally were blocks away from the police department, and you chose
Yes.
instead of driving to the police department, you decided to drive underneath the
Mr.
bridge.
Gambino, I do not
Come
have
on,
a map,
man.
and I haven't been in the city for the best part of 6 months.
Come on! You made no attempts to reach law enforcement in any regard.
No,
You even stated that you
but
didn't
hold on,
inform
Mr.
law enforcement
Gambino.
the
You
last
say
time
you
you
say
got
I've
tased.
made no attempt. Yes, you say I
have a
made
question.
no attempt.
If I swab your hands, am I gonna find any gunshot residue? Because this brings an interesting point where you say you scared off people like 10 minutes prior, and now I'm very curious to see if you've shot a gun. Is this weapon gonna have?
Oh wow!
Residue?
Now you're trying to
Your
find.
hand's going to have residue.
Well, of course
need
it
a
is
cough
because
drop.
I fucking. Of course, there's going to be residue, Mr. Gambino,
On
because
your
I
hands?
discharged that gun at you. So of course there's going to be residue on my hands and the gun. So please
What
stop
about
trying
inside your
to,
vehicle?
Mr. Gambino. You are now trying
Okay.
to make up stuff. Okay.
Not true.
The
I'm
bottom
trying to ask
line
you
is,
questions.
if you had not ran me over, I would not
I'm
have
asking
shot
you a very point blankly question. Is there going to be any gunshot residue on the steering wheel of the car after you had put your hands on the steering wheel? From any previous situations, is there going to be any gunshot
No,
residue?
Mr.
that transferred from your
Gambino,
hands?
because believe it or not, this is the first time I've been back to this city in months, and I haven't pulled my gun out once until you ran me over.
Okay. All right.
And
that
for the record, I've got
is pretty
hours.
much all I
I've
have.
got
This
hours
is going
of
to
body
end the
count.
interview on the 25th of July, 2020. Interview is ending at 21:20 Central Standard Time. Sit tight, okay?
Nice to see you again, Mr. Gambino.
Oh, hello. It's a good thing you're finally here. Come
Wow,
here.
Mrs. Baxter.
I assume I missed the